Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast. I'm BrendenPlayz, and we are getting ready for the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And today, we're going to be previewing that event and all the big matches that will be taking place at the Chamber, and potentially a few more to add to it as well. Including that, we've also got some Hall of Fame discussion, obviously going into the topics of this week's Raw and SmackDown as well. Plenty to chat about today in this week's podcast in terms of BrendenPlayz. Well, this weekend, we're hoping to have NXT Takeover out, available for all of you. As for a stream, I think it's pretty likely we will be doing a stream. I'm hoping to do a stream, fingers crossed. And also at the same time, I'll be playing plenty of Total Extreme Wrestling as well, the 2010 series you guys have been really enjoying it. Great turnout last week. Really appreciate everyone that come along. And also the views after the stream was complete as well was fantastic as well. So if you have been enjoying the series, let me know. Send me a tweet. Put a comment down here. Just let me know you've been enjoying it, because it really is great to see that so many people are checking it out. So it means a lot. As for Universe Mode, obviously Takeover coming up this weekend. Next week will be the Royal Rumble. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks. I'm trying to figure out how I can possibly do a Women's Royal Rumble. I know I kind of promised to everyone that I would do a Women's Royal Rumble, and I really do want to do one. But the only way to do one in this game that I know of requires a lot of really messing around, and it's just going to be probably not going to be worth it, and also it may not even work. I have some other ideas of maybe doing like singles matches and triple threats and fatal fours, things like that, and just combining it into a Royal Rumble, which definitely could happen. It may not be the worst idea to try and make something like that take place and figure it out. So I might see if I can make it happen and make some real big heavy editing and just somehow get this match together. It may not be the prettiest thing in the world, it may be all over the place, but if we can get something done, if we can get something happening, I think that would be exciting and I think that would work. So I love it if we could try and make that happen. I would love it if we can get that to take place, because it would mean we'd have a Women's Rumble. And we've already got the Men's Rumble, which is going to be very good, I'm hoping. But the Women's would be also exciting to have as well, because we have a lot of women that haven't been featured yet, or haven't had a chance to be featured much. So this would be a chance to kind of get them a bit more spotlight and kind of utilize all the women that we have on our roster, which is obviously what we want to try and do. And maybe bring up a woman or two from NXT as well, you never know. But something like that would be really cool to do. So fingers crossed we can try and make something like that happen. I'm not sure, but over the week I'm going to try and experiment and try and put something together, and if we can do it, then awesome. If we can't, then we'll have to leave it alone. But we do have a backup plan anyways, with Alexa Bliss going one-on-one with Nia Jax if we can't do a Women's Royal Rumble. But I'll let you guys know what happens, and if we are going to be doing one before the Royal Rumble does go live, of course. And yeah, NXT Takeover is going to be really fun, headlined by Rude and McIntyre for the NXT Championship, the rematch. Also, we're going to have a 6-man tag match with the Undisputed Era versus Aleister Black, Roderick Strong, and Cassius Ohno. And we've also got another matchup for the Cruiserweight Championship that will be announced on the next episode. Will it be Tommaso Ciampa or Johnny Gargano facing Gran Metalik? We'll find out in the next episode of NXT coming up. The Women's Championship match, Ember Moon versus Asuka, Sanity versus the Street Profits. Also a match that will determine which NXT superstar will get a spot in the Royal Rumble. And we'll be announcing the participants in that in the next episode as well. And we may even have another match up there as well. I'm thinking maybe about having a tryout match as well, and introducing a couple of new people to NXT, with one of them getting a contract the old-fashioned way that we used to, do it pretty regularly. So we'll see how that goes, and that's Takeover, so that's kind of what you can expect. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a really fun show. I think it could be one of our best takeovers, to be honest with you, with the storylines we've got going in. I've really tried to put a little bit more effort into NXT and trying to make it a bit better over the last couple of months, and I feel like this build-up to Takeover has been pretty solid, and I think I'm really looking forward to it. So hopefully it is fun, hopefully it's enjoyable, and hopefully you guys check it out on the weekend, probably Sunday. If it is streamed, I'll try and make it for 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. UK time, the typical time that you normally expect streams and see streams from me. And at the same time, I'll probably do TEW as well before the pay-per-view stream as well. So we'll have a huge night of streaming. I didn't get around to streaming Fortnite this week. I'd like to do some more Fortnite. Obviously, with Season 3 coming out, I would like to stream more. I'm going to be playing a lot of Season 3, I think, so I might probably stream as much as I possibly can of me playing Fortnite. So if you are interested in that, make sure you come along to my streams of that. I'm not too bad at the game, so it might be pretty entertaining to watch at times, and you might see some wins, let's hope. That being said, that's pretty much all that I've got to really say, so let's change gears and let's move into the wrestling discussion for the week. I want to open things up with the Hall of Fame and a discussion that I have seen over the internet the last week or so since it was announced. Jeff Jarrett going into the Hall of Fame. I put out a tweet earlier this week when it was announced saying, I just don't know if Jeff Jarrett is a Hall of Famer. I just don't think so. And a lot of people are trying to argue with me, yes he is, he's got the accolades, on paper he's got the records, but I just don't know if I look at Jeff Jarrett's career in the WWE and even WCW and think, yes, that's a Hall of Fame career. I've read some things where people disagree, some people agree, I've heard some podcasts where some people agree and disagree. I don't know if I've changed my stance on it. I just feel like I've probably come up with more of an explanation of how I feel about it. Now, a lot of people say, well, Coco Beware's in there, Bob Orton, Nikolai Volkov, all these other guys are in there. So does it really matter if, The Godfather is another one. Does it really matter if Jeff Jarrett goes in? Because he's probably had a better career than those guys, and that's probably fair enough. But maybe looking back, WWE would say, yeah, we probably should have put that guy in. Let's try and have the Hall of Fame a bit more credible. You can't really take someone out of the Hall of Fame just because, you look back at it in 5 years' time and say, yeah, he probably didn't deserve it. He's already in. Can't really change that. Yes, it opens up the door that, hey, someone who's on a mid-card level can get in the Hall of Fame if they've done enough. But I think WWE, certainly with Coco Beware and probably Cowboy Bob Orton and other guys there, I think WWE just kind of paying respects to the 80s, and the 80s was truly the boom of the WWF. So they're probably looking at that and kind of attributing anyone who played a part in that and trying to get him in that Hall of Fame status and put him in. Whereas now, guys from the 90s are more going in now. So we kind of look at a different phase of wrestling where wrestling was at its peak for the most part in the 90s. From probably 96, 97 onwards, wrestling was still really starting to peak. Changing it back to Jeff Jarrett. Well, Jeff Jarrett, was in the territories early on and moved to the WWF in the early 90s. And, he won the IC Championship. He had a pretty decent run there. Was champion 6 times. 6-time Intercontinental Champion. He's European Champion. 4-time WCW Champion. So he's got the titles and the accolades that you would definitely say, yes, he's a Hall of Famer. Someone like, Sheamus is probably going to go in the Hall of Fame one day because you look at him on paper and he's got the world title 4 or 5 times. He's got the US title many times. Tag titles many times. He's won all the championships that you'd probably expect a Hall of Famer to win. But would you really say, yes, Sheamus is an absolute Hall of Famer? He was over. He had, he changed the business or would, had a huge impact on it. You probably would not say that at all. And you look at Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett never really rose to the top. He did in WCW in 2000 when the company changed champions. The World Championship changed 23 times in the year 2000. Jeff Jarrett winning it 4 times. So Jarrett was champion when business was at its lowest. And I don't think Jarrett was really much of a draw. Now, in saying this, probably thinking, hey, he made TNA, he did all that in TNA. Well, the thing is, WWE doesn't really acknowledge that. WWE doesn't really acknowledge TNA or anything. They've said, yes, Jarrett gave the opportunities to others, but they're not really including that a part of his Hall of Fame package. If you looked on Raw, it was mainly his country singer gimmick, Double J gimmick, and then a bit of WCW. Not even really much of WCW's gimmick. So mainly just crediting his WWF run. A bit like Razor Ramon, where they're inducting Razor Ramon, not really Scott Hall, but, they do mention the other things he's done, but they're not really mentioning the things he's done outside of WWE, other than, a bit of WCW. But even then, I don't even think they showed him with the World Championship or winning the World title. I don't even really remember much of that in the video package. It's mainly just his WWF run there, which is very interesting indeed. So, if I'm looking at his WWF career, yes, he's won the Intercontinental Championship many, many times, but I just don't know. I just don't think so. I just don't think he was a draw. I think he was a mid-card talent, and he couldn't really rise to the top at a time where WWF wasn't even strong, 94, 95, that mid-90s. He couldn't rise up and get to the top. When he came back in the late 90s, he couldn't do it again. He was still in the mid-card. At a time where the mid-card was really weak as well. The main event scene of the WWF was pretty decent in the mid-90s, but in the mid to late 90s, but the mid-card was pretty poor until, late 90, like 99 and the early 2000s. They still had a lot of pretty poor mid-card guys. So Jeff Jarrett certainly shined because there was not much competition there. Jeff Jarrett on paper probably has had a Hall of Fame career, but I just don't know. I can't tell you a memorable Jeff Jarrett moment. I can't tell you a Jeff Jarrett match that I'm saying, man, that was awesome. I think some TNA stuff, yes, but you got to remember Jeff Jarrett was the booker and basically booked himself into the world title many, many times. But I just don't know. I don't know. A lot of people disagree, but that's just my opinion. I guess if you say, yeah, Coco Beware's in, surely Jeff Jarrett gets in, yeah, maybe. But if Jeff Jarrett, is he getting in because he's recovering from, rehab and trying to do all that? Are they trying to get a story out of that? Is it the fact that he's, an enemy of the WWE? Now they're kind of, putting differences aside for this. Is that a part of it as well? They want that storyline. They want that headline. And they're trying to utilize that. If Jeff Jarrett, if he didn't have TNA and we're just looking at his WWF career, and he's just a guy who hasn't been in WWF. We haven't seen him. He just retired in 97. Or he retired in 2001. What happens then? Does Jeff Jarrett still go in? I don't know. But on paper, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. I would say he's a paper Hall of Famer, but I just don't know. At least like The Godfather, you remember his gimmicks. You remember his moments. You remember what he did. With Jeff Jarrett, I don't remember anything. And yes, it was not all my time, but still I've gone back and watched a lot of it and just not a lot there. I don't know, it's my opinion. I would put him in years to come, but not straight away, not when there's so many other guys that deserve a spot ahead of him. If they wanted to put a recent name in there, like what about Christian? He's the guy that should be in there, and I don't know. There's a lot of guys that I would put in ahead of Jeff Jarrett. There's still a lot of names that we haven't seen him, like Vader. Why is he not in yet? Owen Hart. We need to sort that out. Many, many other names. So, I don't know. I still feel like no, but he's going in, so it doesn't really matter. But I guess right time, right place again for Jeff Jarrett. It was a bit of like his whole career in his WCW run and WWF. Right time, right place. A little bit lucky by the circumstances. Maybe the WWF WWE is capitalizing on his, recent history. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it should be a good speech. It should be a good speech to see him back and see what he has to say. And will he mention TNA and the things he's done there? And, how will he go about it? I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'll certainly be watching the Hall of Fame. I'd watch it no matter who goes in. But, that'll be an interesting speech. So I don't know if he deserves to go in my opinion, but I certainly will be interested to see what he has to say. The other piece of Hall of Fame news was Paul Heyman. There's rumors going around that he'll be inducting Goldberg. I mean, what? Surely, out of everyone that could be inducting Goldberg, Heyman would have to be on the bottom of the list. Does Eric Bischoff not want to do it? Surely you could have him do it. He'd be the first man I'd pick. And I get it, there's probably no one that you'd really associate with Goldberg straight up. Goldberg was not that well liked in the business, kind of alienated himself away from others, and there's not that direct connection with someone. If you're looking at WCW guys, DDP could be one, Sting could be one, I guess. Even Hogan, but I'm not going to bring a Hogan. So there's a few guys you could say and suggest, but Heyman, other than the recent thing with Lesnar, Heyman has got nothing with Goldberg, and you wouldn't even if that was recent, you still wouldn't do it because you want someone who was a major part of Goldberg's career. Goldberg just had one little run at the end, and Heyman was involved. And not even much. The appearances are pretty rare. The interactions were pretty rare. So I just don't get it. I think Heyman would be better for the Dudleys. And I think the Dudleys... I'm not sure if there's a rumour, but I'm surely the Dudleys will go with someone from ECW, or maybe Edge and Christian. People saying the Hardys. I'd rather Edge and Christian. I think to be better. But, Tommy Dreamer could do it maybe. I don't know, man. But it's going to be interesting anyways. Certainly the Hall of Fame is shaping up to be pretty good. I like all the people that are going in so far. I mean, yeah, we've talked about Jarrett, but the others certainly, I believe, feel like they deserve to go in. Be interested to see who else they get. Probably another 2 or 3 names, maybe. Maybe a name from the past. Probably someone who's passed away will probably go in there. And then maybe another decent upper mid-card level talent will go in as well. I don't think there'll be another major name to go in this year. Maybe another woman. Normally they only probably induct one woman, so I think they'll probably just leave it at one. Maybe another tag team. I don't know, but we'll see. But it's shaping up to be pretty good. Let's move on to Raw. Monday Night Raw, or as you could say, Monday Night Rollins. What a night for Seth Rollins. WWE went with a very different direction on this Raw, and they had an hour and a half long match, maybe even longer, nearly 2 hour long match, a gauntlet match, that basically went through the first 2 hours of the show. It was all wrestling. When you think about that, that is absolutely monumental, because WWE normally will open the show up with a 15-minute promo. They'll have a 5-10 minute match afterwards. A couple of backstage segments after that. Stephanie will talk, or Kurt Angle will talk to someone, or something like that. It's the same type of formula. And WWE have thrown that out the window for this week, and they've gone with a gauntlet match covering 2 hours of Raw. 2 out of the 3 straight away covered with the top guys from the Chamber in a 2 hour long match nearly. It was crazy. It was a real breath of fresh air. And Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, they killed it at the beginning. Rollins and Cena was great as well. It was a great start. Rollins was excellent. Elias coming in with Rollins was good. It then fell away, I thought, a little bit with the Elias to Balor, then the Balor to Miz. But when Strowman came back out, that's when it really picked up again, and Strowman was great, cleaning up the Miz and getting the victory. I loved it, man. I really did. I was really invested in it, certainly when Rollins was involved, because I actually thought I read a spoiler that Rollins won the whole thing, so I was expecting Rollins to go all the way, which I thought was going to be crazy. After I watched an hour of Rollins, I thought, no way he goes 2 hours. But obviously it didn't happen. But I guess I must have read something else, but just interpreted as Rollins going an hour. Because I thought the gauntlet match might go 1 hour, but to go as long as it did was pretty incredible. They certainly have tried to put an emphasis in-ring performance over the last month. Ever since the Royal Rumble, WWE has made a change where they're trying to have better quality matches on their shows, and it's working. I think it's good. Some people are saying, well, we need more angles and storylines. I think what they're doing now is solid. If we're going to have wrestling matches, let's have good matches. Let's have matches that are interesting and make you want to see more. And they're doing that. Yes, I feel like they probably gave away too much of this Elimination Chamber match on Raw, because what more can they really do now in the Chamber other than use the outside and the cage and things like that? But as we've seen last year, the cage is all padded up anyway, so it's going to be really not that interesting to watch anyways. So, I don't know. They gave away quite a lot. I hope they do fix the Chamber. I mean, it was just too padded up. It just didn't feel like they're getting hurt. You're trying to suspend its belief and trying to think, okay, these guys are getting slammed on this 3-inch padding. It's not, it's really hurting them. It's like they're going on steel. Come on, give me a break. People saying it's more safe, they can do more things. Yeah, sure, but I don't know. I just like the traditional old school Chamber. I don't mind the new design, but it just doesn't feel like the Chamber with all the padding and things like that around it. So, I don't know. We'll see. Let's hope they do go back to it. I doubt it. I think this is what they're going to do from now on. But they're trying to market it as the most, demonic structure in the WWE. It's not really that case anymore. So, But anyways, the gauntlet match was really good. The right winner, I think, was Strowman. I think that was the right call. Rollins shined. Now, we'll get into predictions in a moment, but it still feels like Reigns is probably going to get the victory, even though Rollins has been excellent. Strowman's had a great run. They're going with this storyline with Reigns is the underdog. He's losing a lot. He's starting to doubt himself. Can he get it done? Same thing with Cena. Cena's just desperate to get to WrestleMania. Oh, if I don't win the Chamber, I'm not going to get to WrestleMania. Like, come on, Cena. We know you're going. So it's hard to kind of believe that storyline. We all know Cena's going to be there. I guess the question is, what capacity will he be in? Will he have a match with Elias one-on-one? Will he be in a multi-man match? Will he just have a singles match against somebody? What is Cena going to do? Will he have a match against Joe? I don't know. We'll see, but we know he's going to WrestleMania. But yeah, so the gauntlet was a nice change, and I think that's good from WWE. I wouldn't do this all the time, obviously. We wouldn't have a 2-hour straight wrestling. I felt like, they did need some interviews and some backstage stuff just to break it up, and they did that. They did the backstage interviews on the side. That was a good addition. That was a smart call, and it made the match feel more real. Like, okay, I've been eliminated. Here's my thoughts about it, type of deal. A bit like sports, like in cricket. When a batsman gets out, and he does really well, they'll interview him after his performance, talk about what happened, what went wrong, how's he feel, those types of things. They'll talk about that. So it had that sports style feel when they're straight away having an interview after the man who got eliminated. I thought that was a good call and a good way to incorporate some angles and some interviews into the show without stopping the action in the ring. So it was a good move from WWE. So the first 2 hours of Raw was really good. The ratings reflected it, 3.5 million. Pretty consistently over the first 2 hours. It really dropped, I think, about 600,000 viewers for the third hour. No surprise, because the third hour, the main event was the women's six-man tag, and it just isn't interesting. You compare that to the men's, the women's chamber just isn't interesting. The Absolution storyline, it's hard to get into it when you got the exact same thing happening on SmackDown. You see the same thing all the time. It's the same thing. They look at the same. I'm sure Paige would be probably in the title hunt if she didn't get injured. Probably the same thing as Ruby Riott. It's the same shit, whatever. The most interesting thing for me was Bayley and Sasha Banks, but looks like they're back to being buddy-buddy again, so they've dropped that, potentially doing the turn. Looks like they've dropped that away. And Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, well, they're trying to make us believe that Mickie James is going to trust Alexa, and if Mickie James does that, then she's the biggest idiot in the world, because we all know Alexa Bliss is going to stab her in the back. So that's going to happen at the Chamber. So look, I don't know. I feel like the Women's Chamber, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it, but will it be as extreme as the men's match? Will it be as good? No. Because the men's match, you look at it, 7 men in it. All of them are pretty popular. All of them get a reaction. Even Elias, probably the lowest guy in the match, he's getting a nice reaction every week. Braun Strowman getting great reactions. Finn Balor has probably got the loudest reaction out of this matchup. Reigns gets what he gets. So does Cena, boos, some cheers, whatever it may be. Rollins, I think he might even get a bigger reaction now after what he did at the Gauntlet. People might respect him a bit more. And The Miz gets a solid reaction every week and does well with his promos and things like that. So everyone in this match has done really well. Is popular. They're getting reactions. So it's going to be an interesting match. I think the crowd will be hot for it for a majority of it. It'll definitely main event. Surely there's no way the Women's Chamber main events. There's no way. But I think it'll be really good. Whereas the women's match, I just don't think it's going to be that great. I just feel like it'll fall flat. Probably will open the show. I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm not interested that much in it. I think Alexa Bliss will probably lose, but if she wins, then I don't know. We'll get to Chamber predictions in a moment's time. Apollo loses his cruise. Yeah, I had to do it. I know, cheap, corny joke, but Apollo loses his last name. Again, Vince has struck. Cesaro lost it. Elias lost it. Big E lost it. The list goes on. I feel like Apollo Crews was a good name. When they had Crews doesn't lose, or what is it, Crews won't lose, or something like that, they invented that last week. Now they've dropped it a week later. I don't know why. I feel like I think the guy did the Florida shooting. had Cruz in his name as the last name spelt differently. So is that a reason why? If that's the reason why, it's ridiculous, because the guy who did that shooting, you should never influence that around someone, and he's going to be forgotten about, hopefully, in a couple weeks. I'm not going to forget about the shooting, of course, but hopefully the man who did it is forgotten about and no one ever remembers who he is, because that's what he wants. So for Apollo Crews to lose his name, potentially over that, I know some people saying it was Terry Crews. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I liked Apollo Crews. I also liked Elias Sampson. I've adjusted to Elias, but Apollo feels like a name that doesn't stand on its own. Apollo. It feels like it needs more to it. That's just my opinion. But Elias, you can go with it. Elias is a pretty common name. Apollo is not a common name. Apollo Crews, well, you spent all this time establishing it. If you're going to drop the name, you should have done it probably a year ago. And as soon as you give the guy a little bit of a catchphrase, you drop it from him. So as soon as potentially, the crowd has something to chant with or, say, go along with, you've taken it all away from him. So the poor guy just can't catch a break. I don't agree with it. I think Vince just wakes up one day and says, you know what, I don't like the name Cruz, let's change it. Or I don't like Samson. It's annoying. It's annoying. And I get it, characters get changed all the time. It's just a part of wrestling. People get repackaged. Nowadays, not many people get taken off TV and repackaged as much or get tweaked. They kind of do it on the fly. So someone like Apollo Crews, he might lose his name when he's taken off TV for 3 months and come back with a new name or something like that. They don't really do that these days. They just kind of switch it up. So, well, what is? It is what it is. And let's move on to Elimination Chamber and the discussion about Ronda Rousey. She's going to be signing her Raw contract on this show. A lot of people are talking about how she's going to get booed, and I want to kind of discuss that. Will she get booed? And should she get booed? I don't think she will get booed, and I don't think she does deserve to get booed. There's a thing in wrestling with a lot of fans, when someone the WWE gets behind, gets pushed, people immediately resent it. Someone who has a name, an outside name, and they push them, they resent it. Someone who isn't in wrestling, they're not a wrestling person, if they get any kind of attention or push, they resent it. And I don't always agree with it. Because you look at it. If you're in WWE's shoes, what do? You bring in Ronda Rousey. Do you have her work with Dana Brooke in a feud? Do you have her work the mid card? Do you have her lose all the time? You just don't do that. You'd just be stupid. It just would be asinine to even think about doing that. So if you're going to bring in a mainstream athlete in Ronda Rousey, someone who, whether you agree on, yes, she lost her last couple of fights. Big deal. Before that, she revolutionized women in sport. She was able to help put UFC for women on the map. She was able to help make women athletes who are recognized and respected in the sporting world. She was the forefront of that. She was right there. She was on covers of every magazine. She was on ESPN. She was on talk shows. She was covering the rounds. A woman athlete. It hasn't really happened too much in sport. Maybe tennis. Maybe some swimming and athletics and things like that. Sure. But mixed martial arts, people are paying to see a woman fight. That's pretty unreal when you think about it. And she was right there making it happen. So when you bring her into WWE, that's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big get. And you bring her in, of course you're going to push her. Of course you're going to make a big deal out of it. Of course you're going to give her 20 minutes at the chamber for this contract signing. Of course you're going to hype her up, her first Raw appearance. You're going to hype it up like it's the biggest deal ever, because it is. It's the biggest name signing in the women's division in WWE history. Whether you like it or not, it is. Name a woman that's going to make as big of an impact as Ronda Rousey that's signed to WWE. Who can you name? No one. What are you going to say? Gail Kim? Bringing her in? Karma? You're going to bring her in? Come on. Let's be real. There's no one. Ronda Rousey will be the biggest star in WWE Women's Wrestling history. Maybe in the future, yes, that could change, but right now, in terms of history as of right now, Rousey will be number one. As soon as she steps foot in the door, as soon as she signs that contract, she's the biggest name ever. So, yes, the WWE are going to push her, and if you're going to boo her before you even see how she wrestles, I think that's a bit of a shame on you situation, because I think you need to give her a chance. Yes, she's only been wrestling. Well, she hasn't even had any real matches. She's been training to be a wrestler for probably a year now. Having MMA experience will help, because obviously you can have a lot of her moveset under a belt already, just into an arm bar, into a knee bar. You can use those submissions as part of her moveset already. So she's already got a lot of moves right from the get-go that she can use. She just needs to learn how to gimmick them a bit and make it more of a work. She's got the ability. She knows how to work a camera. She knows how to work a crowd to a little bit of a degree. She knows how to talk and how to sell a match. So she's got a lot of that down packed already. The only thing she really needs to learn is how to wrestle, a WWE match. Which I'm sure she's got the work ethic to make sure it happens. She's got the athletic ability to make it happen as well. I'm sure at WrestleMania she'll be ready. I think she will surprise many of us. Will she be the best wrestler we've ever seen in our lives? No. And should she be? No. 1 year experience, you'd be lucky. Most people will be lucky to even have a match that's worth watching, let alone a classic. So if Ronda Rousey can just have a good performance and showcase herself well, that'll be good enough for me. What more can I possibly expect? So will she get booed? I really hope not. I think that'd be a real sour thing to see. I just think that'd be really shitty from wrestling fans. Yeah, she's a UFC girl, but so what? So what? She's coming over. She's still young. She's, 30 years of age? She still could have 5+ years in the WWE. She could put in the time. Just because she's made it elsewhere and coming over doesn't mean we have to disrespect her. Other women have done it as well, just on a lesser scale. Coming in from acting, coming in from modeling, coming in from whatever. People coming in from the Diva Search, and we end up cheering and supporting them. God, the Diva Search, which is just a straight-out modeling contest, and we end up appreciating the women that come from it. So someone who's coming from a legitimate sporting background, and we're not going to support that, we're not going to cheer that, we're not going to encourage her, we're not going to support her journey, I think that's pretty shitty. So, if you're going to boo Ronda Rousey, I think that's pretty shitty of you. If she bombs at WrestleMania, I still wouldn't even boo her. I think I'd be disappointed, but it'd be a first match. First match at WrestleMania is pretty damn hard. That's a pretty big ask. So, all eyes will be on her. She's always going to be treated differently and judged harsher. So, it's always going to be difficult for her to get there. And I hope she can perform well. Now, what's going to happen with her at Elimination Chamber? I think for sure Stephanie will get herself involved. If not, Stephanie will be the one to officially sign the contract. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Kurt Angle and Stephanie might be in the ring for the contract signing. And Ronda Rousey comes out, they do the signing, and they have a back and forth. Maybe Stephanie says, okay, now you're in my world, I own you, I control you, you do what I say. She kind of belittles her like that. Maybe Ronda Rousey slaps her, puts her hands on Stephanie, puts her in an armbar. I don't know. She does something like that. We could see maybe Triple H appear as well to break it up or something like that, and maybe he shoves Kurt Angle, and maybe they go with that angle. Or who knows? But I think a mixed tag match is the right way to go about it. We've talked about this previously when she debuted. I think that's the right way to go. If it's not The Rock, then Kurt Angle probably. If not, God, even Strowman would be great to see in that spot. Maybe Rollins against Triple H. He's got that history. That could work. I think Strowman would probably be better, just because his sheer size, and you can believe it more, and just be entertaining to see Triple H get destroyed by Strowman. Plus, they had that little tat-to-tat at Survivor Series as well. I don't know how they'd incorporate Strowman into it, but they could try. If not, I think Kurt Angle would probably be the right guy. Being the GM, and Stephanie can easily belittle Kurt Angle and overrule his decisions and things like that, and Triple H can get himself involved. I think that could easily work. I think that's the most sensible thing. Obviously, they'd love to get The Rock, but I don't think The Rock will do it. I don't think he can do it. I think he's too busy in Hollywood. I'm sure he'd love to, but I just feel like his schedule's not going to allow it. too much of a risk for The Rock as well. If he gets injured again, it's just going to risk his Hollywood career for what? A WrestleMania match? Yes, it would be great. We'd all love to see The Rock back, but I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. But we'll see. We will see. Anyone else they could bring in? I mean, Batista? I love Batista, but I don't think so either. Has The Rock and Ronda Rousey done a movie? I don't know. They might have been in a movie together, so there's something there maybe. I don't know. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Rousey. Let's see how she goes. Let's see how she talks, how her promos are, how her wrestling promos are, and, if she gets physical, let's see how she performs in that little thing that she probably will do with Stephanie. But nonetheless, I'm just going to say, let's support her. Let's give her a chance. Let's see how she goes before we judge. Elimination Chamber predictions. Okay. So, let's get into them. Nia Jax versus Asuka. Pretty clear Asuka's going to win. You win the Royal Rumble, you're not going to lose your streak before WrestleMania. If you do, WWE, whoever booked it, should be fired, and WWE should lose their right to ever book wrestling again, because that'd be stupid. Just stupid. But, it's WWE, there's a chance. Surely not. Surely Asuka wins. Who's Asuka going to face? I still think Asuka's probably going to face Charlotte at this point. It's a chance Ruby Riott might win the belt. I think there's a good chance. I wouldn't do it. I'd have Charlotte versus Asuka. I feel like that's a better match. For Raw, Elimination Chamber, I think Sasha Banks is going to win it. I just feel like it's too much of a task for Alexa Bliss to win at the Chamber. I feel like if she wins it, it's a pretty big thing to try and, believe. Unless she has some help. But she's got Mickie James. But come on, Mickie James. Mickie James could be the first one out. It wouldn't shock me if Alexa Bliss starts the match. It wouldn't shock me if she's first one gone. She's gone straight away. We have a new champ. Let's see who it is. That would not surprise me if everyone just ganged up on her and got rid of her straight away. Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, far too soon for them to win the belt. I think that'd be a colossal mistake. Bayley has no momentum. Mickie James the same. I think the only logical pick is Sasha Banks. If there's going to be a title change, I think it has to be Sasha Banks. Now, what do you do at WrestleMania? Do you give Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks a match? I don't know. Do you turn Sasha Banks heel and have Bayley versus Sasha Banks? I think that'd be better. I think that'd be the right call. They've planted some seeds for it, but they've kind of gone away from it now. They had a really good match on Raw not long ago. They've had some great takeover matches in the past. So I think that'd be a great match. Alexa Bliss, I don't think would produce as good of a matchup, but it would be disappointing for Bliss to lose the belt and not have a WrestleMania match as well. Possible chance they might do a women's battle royal or a women's tag match, something like that as well in the pre-show. There's a chance for that, just to get them involved. But yes, so I'm going to go with Sasha Banks. I just feel like she's the one to win it. Sasha versus Asuka, that can work. We've seen it. It was good. Do it again. That's fine. There's enough there to do it. If not, Sasha versus Bayley or Sasha versus Bliss, either or, it's not a bad option. I think Apollo Crews, sorry. Apollo and Titus O'Neil, the Titus brand, will have a match against Sheamus and Cesaro for the tag titles. I think that'll be added, since they've beaten them 3 times now, I think. So they'll probably do that, with Sheamus and Cesaro comfortably winning that match. What else have we got on the card? We've got the men's elimination chamber. We've got Rousey signing the contract. Is there anything else? I feel like I am... Oh, yes. I am missing one match. And can you blame me? Broken Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt. I mean, these two either need to end this feud or team up. Simple as that. Let's have them just beat each other up, and then afterwards they just start laughing at each other and they just, shake hands or something. Make them team up. That odd couple team, really oddball, this weird team, this whack job team, I think could really, really work. Them against each other will not work. It's not working. It's probably the low point of Raw. Matt Hardy's reactions are really dead in the water at this point. He's gone from getting a great response to every single week it's getting less and less and less, and now it's getting minuscule. He's dying a very quick, painful death. If you're going to make this character work, you got to start doing something with it. I know they've got the TNA footage they can start doing. They need to. They need to get in Vanguard 1. They need to get in, they need to get the other characters in. Brother Nero, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't incorporate Jeff Hardy unless it was Jeff Hardy coming back saying, what the hell's wrong with you, Matt? What's wrong with you? Why are you with Bray Wyatt? Why are you teaming up with this guy? You should be teaming up with me. And have that little mini feud, and then maybe have the loser leaves. You know, Jeff Hardy goes to SmackDown and becomes a single success over there. But I feel like the only way to salvage this is for Bray and Matt to team up. So I'm going to say Matt wins. I think he needs a win. Bray's beaten him a couple of times. I think Matt really needs the victory. So I would give it to Matt. Men's Elimination Chamber. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's a bit of a one-match pay-per-view, isn't it? It'll probably be a 1 hour long match. I think it'll be really, really long. It's going to be the main reason to watch the show. It's going to be good, though. Everyone's saying Reigns, and I can't really go past it. They've basically kept Reigns and Lesnar away from each other all year. They've been building to this. Reigns has got this underdog storyline going on when we all know he's, Superman. They're trying to make us believe he's losing, and, they're doing their best they can to make it happen. But 5 years of beating everyone is not going to, dismiss 2 months of a couple of losses by DQ and, screwed finishes and things like that. So I think Reigns is going to win. They're going to go with this storyline. Reigns and Lesnar at WrestleMania, the rematch. It will probably main event. And look, I'm not against it. They had a good match a few years ago. I just don't think Lesnar can produce a good match anymore. I think Lesnar's just about cooked. Reigns is good. I like Reigns. I'm not his number one supporter, as I've been saying. I prefer Strowman. I'd much rather Strowman win it. Strowman versus Lesnar at WrestleMania, I feel like is a far better scenario. A matchup that probably won't last long if it did happen, which is the only issue. I don't know if any Lesnar match will last long, though. I think Strowman winning the belt would be excellent. A great WrestleMania moment, but probably won't happen. Instead, we'll get Reigns probably winning the belt. And surely Lesnar will drop the belt at WrestleMania. Who does he drop it to? I don't know, but surely he will lose it. Seth Rollins, he might be a very small chance of winning it. Finn Balor, I think, is no chance. Elias, no chance. Miz, no chance. But definitely Rollins has a small chance. Reigns very, very likely, and Strowman potentially. So I'd say Reigns 95%. Well, Reigns 85%, Strowman 10%, Rollins 5%. We'll go with that. So I think Reigns will win, which is fine. It is what it is. And look, I'm not a Reigns hater. I never have been. Never jumped on that bandwagon, which I feel like that's what it has become. It's become the cool thing to boo Reigns. In terms of Cena, when he was getting that, I was genuinely getting sick of Cena. I think I was genuinely getting sick of seeing Cena on top, winning all the time. That was getting frustrating to me. But Reigns hasn't been champion for a couple of years now, and yes, he's featured heavily, but it's not too much over the top for me where I'm so over it. It's not like it's not like he's getting 5 segments a show. There's other people that's been overpushed compared to him. When Rollins was champion, he was on the show 4 or 5 times a night. There's been other circumstances. Reigns is a bit of a one segment and done type of guy. But people still say he's shoved down our throats and things like that. I just don't think so. SmackDown, they're doing the Usos versus the New Day again. Why? I mean, surely there's other scenarios. Surely there's other people you can throw into that. You've got Gable and Benjamin, who are doing pretty well for themselves. You've got the Bludgeon Brothers, who they're finally re-pushing again. Breezango, they're not doing much with. Ascension, they're not doing much with. Hype Bros, they broke up for some freaking reason. Why? I don't know. So they've got other teams, but yet they still stay with the Usos and the New Day again. I get it. It's a good match. It is. It's going to be probably good, but it's been done enough now. And I thought they were completely done with each other. So to have it again, surely they change that. Surely. And they make it a triple threat. They make it a 4-way. I don't know. Surely. But we just don't need to see it again. It's just a step backwards for the tag division, which on SmackDown, I think the tag division's been pretty good. But they're taking a step back. Surely they give the Rusev Day a match. They haven't even been featured on SmackDown 2 weeks in a row. Strange. It's crazy. Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton announced for Fastlane. I would have saved it for WrestleMania. I think that's a WrestleMania match. Something for both guys to do. It's a pretty solid US title match. It's a match I personally would like to see. Don't think we've ever seen it before. So it'll be a good one, but I would have saved it for WrestleMania. What's their plans for the US title at WrestleMania? Triple threat, add in Jinder Mahal. Is that the plan? I mean, come on. Jinder's crap. just crap. Add in Baron Corbin, add in Dolph Ziggler, we're going to have a multi-man match. Or, I think Randy and Roode is good enough as a WrestleMania match. But, for whatever reason, they're executing it right now. And, yes, it's a good match for Fastlane, but when you got WrestleMania so close, you just don't give away your big matches. And I think that's a big match they are giving away, and I think that's a bit of a shame. That's it for our wrestling discussion. We have some questions coming up. Quick little chat about Fortnite. Season 3 dropping today. Very excited to get my hands on it. As soon as this podcast ends, actually, I'm going to go ahead and play Season 3. Lots of new outfits. I'm going to be buying the Battle Pass and trying to grind to Tier 100, so I'm looking forward to that. Been playing plenty of it. Other games I've been playing this week. Revisited God of War Ascension. I played it 5 years ago when it came out and stopped playing it. I got halfway through the game, stopped playing it. Didn't like it as much as the other God of Wars, but I got around to finishing it today, got the platinum on it, which I was happy with. So, yeah, finally another platinum. It was good to get some trophies. I haven't had many trophies this year so far. So I'm looking forward to getting some more. It's kind of giving me the trophy bug a little bit again, so I'm happy to get some more. But it was good to get God of War done. At one point I was wanting to get every God of War game platinum, but I realised when God of War 3 was probably too hard for me. I just couldn't quite get it done. Maybe that was not going to happen. And the first God of War as well was quite frustrating as well, so I never got around to that one. But I did God of War 2. I've done Ghost of Sparta and Chains of Olympus, and now Ascension. And when God of War 4 comes out, that's going to be really exciting as well. I'm looking forward to that one. So hopefully I get the platinum on that one as well. That'll be lots of fun. So I'm a big fan of God of War. I really am. And I'm looking forward to playing more. Oh yeah, Age of Empires. Age of Empires Remastered. The original Age of Empires. Basically the only Age of Empires that I played. Didn't play Age of Empires 2, never had it. When Age of Empires came out, I was very young. I was playing it probably when I was 3, 4, 5. Around that age barrier. Very, very young. It was one of the first games I ever played on the PC. I remember it. I loved it. I didn't really get it when I was really young, but I loved it. And it was a game that I played, honestly, probably for years. I remember playing it up until I was like 12. Even though it was old, I just felt like it was the best Age of Empires. And I tried Age of Empires 3, didn't really like it as much. Nothing bet the first Age of Empires. And I'm so glad they've remastered. Unfortunately, it's really... It crashes all the time. Like it doesn't load. I can't get the game to start. If it starts, it's once a day it'll load for me. So I can't really go on it as much as I'd like. I don't know if they're releasing a patch or an update or something to fix it. But at the moment, it's really hard to get onto the friggin' game. But other than that, it runs really well. The game runs well. They've got the old, everything's basically the same except for the updated graphics. It's just the Age of Empires that I knew and love, and I'm happy to play it. I'm happy to play it again. They've got online as well, so it's fun. It's fun when I can actually get on it, but I can't get on it very much, so I'm hoping to play it a little bit more soon. Hoping that they fix it would be nice. But yeah, I'm trying to look for the next game I'm going to play, and next game I'm going to try and get the platinum on. I'm trying to revisit some of my PS3 games, because I've got a lot of them that I never got around to finishing or playing. So it would be nice if I kind of sat down and knocked a couple more off the list. So that's why, I looked at God of War and said, yeah, I was pretty happy to get that one. I was happy to go back and finish that one that I knew that I could definitely platinum, knew that I could definitely finish off. So I was happy to get that one off the list. And there might be some more that I'll try and check out and try and finish off. It'd be just nice to get those games that I started all those years back and finish them off. And we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated with what else I'm going to be doing. I'm going to try and upload some more videos to my Brendan's Platinums channel as well, so you can check that out. It's where I basically just upload my Platinum videos. You can see what games I've been playing and what I've been platinuming. I've got like 10 Platinums that I've gotten over the last number of months that I haven't gotten around to getting. I haven't got around to uploading, so you'll see that on the channel pretty soon as well, which would be pretty cool. But with that being said, we've got some questions, and of course if you want to leave a question, make sure you do so by leaving a YouTube comment leaving a comment in the YouTube comment section down below, muddling the words there. Also on a Facebook page, facebook.com/BrendenPlayz, we usually post the post after SmackDown every week. So let's go ahead and read this week's questions. First question coming in from Osha Bryant. If Roman Reigns fails the wellness policy again, do you think WWE will ignore it so he can face Brock at WrestleMania? I don't think he'll fail it. I know there's a lot of talk about this steroid thing going around, but I really don't think it's going to amount to anything. I feel like if Reigns had failed the wellness policy, we would have already known it by now. If he was taking steroids, we would have known. He would have been caught out, and they would have done something about it. They would have got on top of it. If they find out about something, normally they try and handle it internally before the media can really get a hold of it. So if Reigns was on steroids or failed the policy, I'm sure he probably would have had another suspension already. And if he was doing it like this, I think this guy's been accusing, he's been doing it for a while. It probably would have happened at a time where Reigns wasn't really needed as much. It would have happened around that Survivor Series time, perhaps. So we'll see. But I don't think he'll fail it. If he does, maybe it'll come out after WrestleMania. Maybe it won't come out at all. Maybe they don't care. But I don't think anything will really happen to him. I think he'll be fine. I don't see WWE changing their plans at all. Thomas Speller, how much WCW have you seen? Well, I've seen bits and pieces. Not every show, that's for sure. I started watching the weekly shows in the 1995 weekly shows. I watched probably 3 months of weekly shows. It's pretty hard to watch at times back then, to be honest. I watched some of their pay-per-views, some of their better pay-per-views, some of their better matches. Also watched, when I was playing a TW series of WCW of 2001 onwards, I wanted to get affiliated with some of the names in WCW around that time period, so I watched some of the 2001 pay-per-views and some of the 2000 pay-per-views as well. So I've seen bits and pieces, not enough. I feel like I probably should go and watch more of the of WCW at their best with the NWO and things like that. Probably watch 1997. Would like to see that whole year in its entirety. So that's something maybe I will check out soon. Like, I've been watching 2005 WWE. I'm getting close to October. So I started the first show of January and now trying to get close to October. So maybe after I watch all 2005 WWE, maybe I'll go and watch WCW. Maybe. We'll see. But, yeah, I would like to see more. Retro Swine. I've got a Universe Mode question. At WrestleMania, could you have an Andre the Giant Battle Royal that's like a Rumble for the mid-card where the winner gets a title match for the mid-card belt on their brand? It's a good idea. Unfortunately, if we could have, a 15-man Battle Royal, I would. But a 15-man Royal Rumble style Battle Royal, yeah, I don't know about that one. Because we're already doing the Royal Rumble, it would just kind of devalue the Royal Rumble a little bit, because it's basically the same type of match. But if we could have 15 guys in the ring from the get-go and have everyone throw each other out, absolutely, I would be doing an Andre the Giant Battle Royal every year. But because we can't, probably not. 8-man is good, but, it's not really WrestleMania caliber, or, yes, a mid-card title match, sure, but I don't know. I'll think about it, but probably unlikely. It would be good, though, to get a lot of the names that won't make WrestleMania in that match. That's what it would be good for. So you get 8 guys that aren't featured in the match, so that'd be handy. Maybe even a legend or 2 goes in there as well. So I think we did do one, though, last year, didn't we? We did a Battle Royal, and Kurt Angle, I think, showed up in it. So I have done it. I have done it in the past, so maybe I'll do it again. Cameron Fox, his question is, do you plan on getting the new Far Cry game? Yes, I will be. I've gotten I've actually owned every Far Cry game. Far Cry 1, which I got on the PS3, which was called Far Cry Classic. I platinumed it. Far Cry 2, I really didn't like it. Didn't really like it. That was my first Far Cry. I didn't really like it at all. I heard how good Far Cry 3 was, so I gave Far Cry another chance. I loved Far Cry 3. That's my favorite of the series. Platinumed that. Far Cry 4, platinumed it. Pretty good. Very similar to Far Cry 3. Probably too similar for my liking. I really didn't get into it. Far Cry Primal, platinum that as well, so I enjoy that as well. So actually, if I had a platinum Far Cry 2, I would have done the whole series. Well, it's too late now. Far Cry 2 is impossible to platinum now, but yeah, so I will definitely be getting Far Cry 4. It's not my favourite series in the world, but actually Far Cry 5, sorry. It's not my favourite series in the world, but it's certainly an enjoyable one, and the 5th one looks pretty good. If they've advanced it a little bit further, I think it'll be really solid. I think it's going to be worth getting, and I'm looking forward to it, so I'll be definitely checking it out. Aaron Jordan, do you think Road Dogg should be fired as the SmackDown head writer? Well, I don't know if Road Dogg is the reason why SmackDown has dropped down, but right now SmackDown is at its worst since the brand split began. Yes, 4 years ago SmackDown was, you didn't even need to watch it and you didn't miss anything. And now you do need to watch it, obviously, with the brand split. But it is really bad. It just feels like I'm watching the same thing every week. It's just nothing interesting's happening. The characters are not interesting. I'm just not enjoying it at all. The last 3-4 months, I just have not enjoyed SmackDown much at all. I just watch it as a bit of a chore. I want to watch it. I want to look forward to SmackDown. Because when the brand split started, I thought SmackDown was on fire. They had a great run until the shake-up when they just murdered SmackDown. Murdered it and hasn't recovered. I don't know if Road Dogg is to blame, but if he's writing the show right now, if he's the head writer, he's in control, he's not doing a good job. He's really not. So he's the guy who said wins and losses don't matter. It doesn't matter who wins and losses. It doesn't matter at all. So that's his mentality. That's how he thinks. I think he's a moron if he thinks that. Because if he thinks you can lose all the time and still be champion or whatever, then I think you've got to be an idiot. But I would not suggest he would run SmackDown. I feel like whoever was running it before the brand split happened, that's who I think should be doing it right now. Not before the shake-up happened. But if Road Dogg is calling the shots right now, it's not doing good. So Vince probably isn't doing much better either. So I personally think Triple H should be running a brand on his own. I personally think Triple H definitely run Raw or Vince run SmackDown, vice versa. Create some internal competition, just try and have each other, one up each other, and have Vince just put all his eggs in one basket and have Triple H put all of his eggs in the other basket and just have them focus on that rather than splitting themselves apart on both shows. I feel like you need to have one team on one show, one team on the other, especially when it comes to higher management as well. Yeah, you want someone who can manage both and oversee both, but then you have Triple H to do that for Raw, Vince to do that for SmackDown, or vice versa, whatever. But they just, I don't know. It's got to restructure, I think, how they're going about it. JL, he wants to know, rank all the Elimination Chamber participants from least likely to win to most likely to win. Well, JL, I think least likely to win would be probably The Miz, then Elias, then Finn Balor. I'm trying to remember all the people who are in it. Then that's 3. Then we got Braun. Oh, yeah. Then Braun. Then John Cena. I'll say Cena. Then Rollins. Then Strowman. Then Reigns. Yeah, I put Strowman and Rollins above Cena. I just feel like they're not going to have Cena in the title hunt. I don't think they really want to do Lesnar versus Cena. That's not where they're going. I don't know what they're doing with Cena, but I don't think he'll be involved. So I don't think he's a good chance to win. I think Strowman and Rollins probably have more of a chance. So that's my ranking. And to be honest, I actually forgot Cena was in the match. I had to remember who the other guy was. Brandon Thompson, what do you think Finn does at WrestleMania? Maybe he'll team up with Ronda if The Rock or Braun don't team with her. I don't think he'll do that. I think that's unlikely. I don't know what he'll do. To be honest with you, I think he probably will be involved in some kind of tag match, or he'll be in the Battle Royal. Possibly, if they do a multi-man IC title match, maybe he'll be involved in that. I don't know. I don't think Finn will be doing much. Nothing really worth getting excited over. Last question from Thomas Speller. Would you ever do live reactions to a pay-per-view on your channel? No, I probably don't. That's not really what my interest is. I kind of like just to do things on my channel that interest me, that I enjoy doing, and those are the types of things that I don't really care for. I get people do it, and some people like that. Just, not for me. But thanks for your questions, guys. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed this edition of the podcast. If you did, leave a like on it on the YouTube. Share it around to your friends. You can also check out the show on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio as well. Also, check out the website, BrendenPlayz.com, and while you're there, sign up to the forums, BrendenPlayz.com/forums. It's free to join, and you can discuss wrestling, sports, movie, TV, or you can talk about BrendenPlayz on there, gaming, plenty. Also, join the Discord chat whilst you're there, and you can chat to everyone that you want to talk to who's a part of the BrendenPlayz family. Get to know some new people. We've got a lot of people who are always looking for people to play some games with or chat with. There's always room for more. So if you love to come along, you love talking wrestling, you love gaming, whatever. You want someone to play Fortnite with, we've got people. Discord, BrendenPlayz.com/forums. That's where you need to go. Come along. We won't bite. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and I will see you all next Thursday for the post-Elimination Chamber edition on the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast.